Thank you for tuning into the Greater Mount Zion broadcast where our pastor is Galen Clark. For more information about what we are doing to impact the city of Austin, check us out at gmzaustin.org. You can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter or Instagram.
Who in here remembers the 1980s sitcom Facts of Life? Anybody? Might be telling my age. Oh, yes. So we had Blair, Tootie, Joe, Miss Garrett, Natalie. My favorite part, though, of the whole show, guess what it was? The theme song. The theme song. And so, every time it came on, I want to say it kind of had an intro with a little hum. And then it goes right into it. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have, there it is, the facts of life. There's a time you got to grow and show you're growing now. You know about the facts of life. Help me out. The facts of life. This is my part. When the world never seems to be living up to your dreams, finally you're finding out the facts of life. They're all about you. And what was that ending part? Ooh, yeah. And she just kept singing that song. But it is only right now as an adult that I have really been able to place reality on what that really meant. To take the good, to take the bad, put them together, and there we have the facts of life. At the age of 6, what did I really know about the facts of life when I learned this song? But then that third verse, when it says, when the world never seems to be living up to your dreams, suddenly you're finding out the facts of life. Oh, they're all about you. Oh, they're all about you. And so today we will journey through this passage in the 2nd chapter of Esther and learn some facts of life through the game of basketball. Through the game of basketball. And so today's message, the facts of life. There is a champion inside. The facts of life. And so think about it a moment. Think about a champion. You got that visual? Think about a champion. Did you envision someone holding up a trophy? Maybe a gold medal? How about something that distinguishes that person or that group from everybody else in the crowd? Maybe you thought back to one of your debate challenges, a spelling bee, or a pageant. But whichever one came to mind when we took that mental picture about a champion, it was a destiny and a goal that was reached and that was fulfilled, and it ended with a victory. Now, for me personally, when I imagine or I picture a champion, my brain, because I'm an athlete, it automatically thinks sports. It automatically goes to sports. And so in our text today, in our scripture, we will see that Esther's championship status is when she becomes queen. And so the journey though to become queen was anything but easy. Anything but easy. And so today we will look at how the Bible lays out the journey of Esther and how she becomes the queen of Persia in 478 BC. We're going to look at the text, and we are going to identify some of Esther's facts of life that will help us to better, number one, recognize life distractions, and number two, handle life's distractions that come our way. Will you go with me? We're up, we're ready? Okay, and so we're looking at this, thinking about life distractions, thinking about sports, okay? So I will be 39 coming up in like a month and some change, but I actually still consider myself to be somewhat of an athlete. If you can see these knees up here, I have been under the knife a few times, but I still consider myself to be somewhat of an athlete. It is something about running and jumping, with spiking. It's just something about it that just excites me. And it's especially energizing and exciting when I win, when I'm labeled champion, when I get the gold medal. And so I believe that God will help us today to make a clear connection between Esther's biblical journey, our own spiritual journey, through something simple like the game of basketball. And so I think back to my very first experiences playing basketball back in Lake Charles, Louisiana, born and raised. And the basketball goal wasn't exactly a goal. However, it was a milk crate nailed to the big old tree in mother's front yard. Anybody ever have a milk crate basket? There we go. Got at least two. Oh, look, I got some little bitty ones. They like 5, and they said they had it. Oh, that's cute. I love it. They all just raised their hand. Love it. So at any rate, so the court was nothing but the finest Louisiana dirt. No concrete in sight at all. But the objective to the game, as we said, was to rope the goal. Anybody ever rope the goal? That's what we called it. You say shoot the hoop, we said rope the goal. So anybody who roped the goal would obviously get points. So those of you, some of us, we may not have that point of reference with basketball to draw on. And so what we're going to do, especially for you today, is we're going to have Spiritual Hoops 101. Spiritual Hoops 101. And so in this class, where we take Esther and we go through Spiritual Hoops 101, we are going to learn the rules of the game and how that applies to our lives as we journey towards our destiny, that thing that God has created us to do. And so let's first look at the ways in which you can get the ball to the hoop. So there's something as simple as you can just dribble, drive in, and lay it up on the board. Lay it up on the board for a quick 2 points. There's also the option of shooting a jump shot, whether it's in the paint, at the elbow, on the free throw line. That's another option. But if you're feeling a little confident, you back up and you take what's called a what? You shoot the 3. You got to have some confidence to back it up and shoot out there. But what makes the game of basketball interesting is when they apply defense. When the defense is applied, there's some excitement about the potential of your shot being blocked or the ball being stolen. And so looking at a defensive player in a basketball game and the role of the defense, we're going to better understand how to handle and adjust to life's hard spots. You see, that leads us to fact of life number 1. Don't misinterpret the purpose or the potential of the defense. Don't misinterpret the purpose or the potential of the defense. You see, Esther had some opponents. She had some defense, some distractors that was between herself and her destiny. Not her destiny of becoming queen, but Esther also was the one sole person that was responsible for delivering the entire Hebrew nation. So it was bigger than her. So as we look at the text today, verse 7 tells, it says, Mordecai had a cousin named Hadassah, whom he had brought up because she had neither father nor mother. This girl, who was also known as Esther, was lovely in form and features, and Mordecai had taken her as his own daughter. Well, let me stop right there. So right there we see that Esther, as a little girl, she was orphaned by the death of her parents. She was orphaned by the death of her parents. So we see this little girl with no mom and no dad. Can you imagine that? Imagine your daughter, my daughter, no mom and no dad. Maybe someone today, you've actually had to deal with that distraction of life. We continue on in that later part of verse 7. It says that Mordecai had taken her as his own daughter when her father and mother died. So she was adopted. Now, a good thing about Esther is that she was raised by a cousin. And although it was a cousin, there was still that missing factor of mom, of dad. But she faced another transition. But this transition was shaping her to save a nation. It was shaping her to save a nation. So life begins to settle some for Esther. It begins to settle. And she's gone about her day-to-day life, living with her cousin Mordecai that has raised her. But then she's faced with another detachment. It tells us in verse 8. Verse 8 says, when the king's order and edict had been proclaimed, many girls were brought to the citadel of Susa and put under the care of Haggai. Esther also was taken to the king's palace. So right there we see that Esther, she was taken to go and try out for queen. There wasn't $1 million contract that she signed and she was already guaranteed the money how, it's done today. No. She was going to try out for queen, and she was taken. This is not what she was doing willingly. And so these things that appeared, though, don't be confused, it appeared to be distractions, but they were actually plays from God's playbook that would not only benefit Esther, but an entire nation of people. And so without careful attention, you and I may sometimes give too much attention to distractions and lose sight of our destiny. You see, it is the defense that may try to block you, but the thing is, it can't stop you. You see, like Esther, if you and I were to be honest with ourselves, we too have faced, are facing, will face some defensive pressures in life. The defensive pressures that we face may be something like sickness, but medicine after surgery, it just didn't get it. The defensive pressures may be something like relationships that fail time after time, and you keep trying. But then sometimes your defensive pressure, when in basketball, when the defense begins to play on you, it may also be internal. It may also be internal. There's no outside effects. It's internal. Your mind is not at peace, so your life is not peaceful. Your self-esteem is shattered every day when you look at yourself because you don't like who you are or where you are in life or the challenges that life has brought you, you've allowed to beat you down. But that is the enemy trying to attack you. The word says, be not dismayed. God cannot be mocked. But we do have an enemy. We do have an enemy. And the Bible does not pull any punches when it says he is trying to kill, steal, and destroy. So you have to be aware. He is trying to kill you, destroy you, to steal from you, to steal your joy. But I'm so glad in these facts of life, there is good news today. There is good news today, because when you're playing basketball, there's a certain object that you need in order to win the game. And it is the object that the ball. You have the ball. When we have Jesus Christ in our lives, we have the ball in our hand. We are on eternal offense. You see, the ball makes the difference. Only with the ball do you have the opportunity to score in life. Only with the ball in the hoop can you win the game. And so as we see ourselves going down the road of life, the adversary, he is not only coming to try to steal your ball, but he is coming to steal your joy. He is coming to destroy your marriage. He is on the job, but you have to realize you've got the ball. You have possession. He may try to cause strife in your life, but you have the ball. He may be trying to attack friends, family, people that you are attached to, but you have the ball. Even though we are faced with an everyday opponent. Every day the enemy, the defense is going to try to attack. But there is still more good news. There is still more good news because God indeed in this life, there's moves in basketball that you can use. And when you're going up and down the court, there's something that's called a crossover. And on a crossover, that's exactly what you do. You cross over and you change directions. And that's what some of us need to do today. You need to cross over and change the patterns of your life. You need to cross over and go in a different direction. The spiritual hoop crossover in 2 Corinthians 5:17, it says, the old things have passed away and all things have become new. That's a crossover to a new direction. Isaiah 43:19, it says, see, I am doing a new thing. Somebody in here, you need to cross over and go the other way because you are more than a conqueror. You can do all things through Christ who gives you the strength. And see, the good thing about the crossover, but on the court, you may get stuck. You may get stuck. You picked up your dribble. You kind of don't know where to go or what to do. But once again, there's good news for that. There is good news for that. You have a team. There is a team. Esther gave us that example. She had a team. She had a coach named Mordecai. Esther had a team of 7 maids from the king's palace. So she had some top notch. She had some Kawhi Leonards. She had some LeBron James. She had some D Wades on her team that would answer her every beck and call. Esther also had home court advantage. Verse 9 says that she and her maids were moved to the best place in the harem. So I need to ask a question. Are you ready today to decide to go to your best place? Are you ready to be in your best place? Because Esther could have gave up when mama died. Esther could have quit the team. When her daddy died, Esther could have quit the team. When she was taken from the only family she had, Esther could have quit the team. But it's a champion inside of her that would not let her quit the team. And that's more good news for you and I, because it's not a matter of if you, but when you get knocked down by life on your way to your destiny, the word says, cast all your cares on him because he cares for you. When we are bumped down, the Son, Jesus Christ, another one of our teammates, he has a rich history in healing and restoring people. For the word says that he gives sight to the blind. Don't you think he can pick you up too? He gave strength to the lame. He can pick you up too. He restored life and raised the dead. He can pick you up too. And I believe what God is calling us today, he's calling us to get up and get in the game. Get up and get in the game. Somebody here today, you're stuck and you need to pass the ball. Somebody here today, you're in need of a team. You're trying to do this thing called life all alone. All alone. We have a team here waiting for you. If you are alive, and indeed every one of you, I guess you are, you are definitely a part of the game. So the facts of life, will you choose to become the champion that's inside or not? The facts of life.
Thank you for tuning into the Greater Mount Zion broadcast. We would love to hear how God is impacting your life through this ministry. To share your story or find out more about our ministry, send an email to info@gmzaustin.org. Thank you, and tune in next week.